It was a quiet autumn evening in Maplewood, a small suburban town where the streets settled into a kind of hush after the sun dipped below the rooftops. The last few streaks of orange and rose in the sky were fading into a deep blue, and the air had that crisp, invigorating quality that made people draw their sweaters tighter. The Parker family's two-story home sat at the end of a tree-lined street, with a little wooden fence out front and maple leaves scattered like confetti on the sidewalk. Inside the house, the warmth of soft lamplight spilled across the living room, catching on the edges of framed photographs and a bookshelf crammed with novels, travel guides, and old cookbooks. But while the living room was pleasant, it wasn't where Emily and Claire Parker spent their evenings. Their favorite place was upstairs, in the room they had shared since childhood, a room that had seen late-night talks, quiet tears, bursts of laughter, and, most importantly, countless hours of reading. Emily, at 24, had only recently finished her degree in English literature at the university in the city, about 40 minutes away. She had a gentle but confident presence, the kind of person who listened more than she spoke, and when she did speak, she chose her words carefully. Claire, her younger sister at 20, was in her second year at the local community college, studying art history. Where Emily was calm and deliberate, Claire was spirited and impulsive, often brimming with ideas she couldn't wait to share. They were different in temperament, but they shared a deep, unshakable bond that had only grown over the years. It was Emily who had first brought books into their nightly routine. When Claire was in middle school and struggling to adjust after the family moved to Maplewood, Emily would read aloud to her at night, choosing adventure stories or gentle mysteries. At first it was a way to help her younger sister relax and feel at home, but soon it became something they both looked forward to, a sanctuary in the midst of life's noise. On this particular night, rain had fallen earlier, leaving droplets clinging to the window like tiny silver beads. The scent of damp earth drifted in when Claire had opened the window for a moment to let in the fresh air. Now she sat cross-legged on her bed, hair tied in a loose ponytail, flipping through the worn pages of a book she had read more than once. Emily sat across the room on her own bed, reading glasses perched on her nose as she scanned a thick novel borrowed from the town library. "You're awfully quiet tonight," Emily said without looking up. She had that uncanny ability to sense when Claire's thoughts were wandering. "I'm distracted," Claire admitted, resting her cheek against her palm. "That art history project is eating at me. I have to analyze 3 paintings and I'm fine with 2 of them, but the third, I can't decide." Emily set her book down gently, marking her page with a ribbon. "Pick one you actually like. You've always been drawn to landscapes. What about that painting you showed me a while back? The one with the golden wheat fields?" Claire's eyes brightened. "Van Gogh's Wheat Field with Crows." "Yeah, I think I've been overthinking it." "Classic Claire," Emily teased lightly. "Sometimes the answer is staring you in the face." Claire chuckled, then glanced at the clock. "It's reading time. We're not breaking tradition, are we?" "Not a chance." Emily smiled, patting the space beside her. Claire climbed onto her sister's bed, bringing To Kill a Mockingbird with her. They had read it before, but it was one of those stories that seemed to reveal something new each time. Claire began reading aloud, her voice steady and soft. Emily leaned back against her pillows, closing her eyes occasionally, not to drift off but to better absorb the words. The room was warm, the lamplight casting a golden glow, and the soft patter of occasional raindrops on the roof added to the rhythm of the evening. After a couple of chapters, Claire handed the book over. Emily adjusted her glasses and took her turn, her voice a little lower, giving each sentence a deliberate weight. Claire curled under a blanket, letting the words wash over her. They didn't just read to pass the time, they read to feel something, to step into other worlds and walk alongside characters who, in some strange way, felt like friends. When they finally closed the book for the night, Claire looked thoughtful. "You know," she began, "I've been thinking maybe we should share this with other people. Like online. A YouTube channel or something." Emily's eyebrows lifted. "Funny, you must have read my mind. I was going to suggest the same thing. We could do reviews, discussions, maybe even live streams where we read together." Claire's face lit up. "And I could draw artwork inspired by the books. We could use that for thumbnails or backgrounds." They spent the next hour tossing around ideas, what they'd call their channel, how they'd decorate their filming space, which books they'd start with. By the time they finally drifted to sleep, the idea had taken root in both their minds. The next night, they followed the same routine, but this time they experimented with something new, a short video clip on Emily's phone of Claire reading a passage aloud while fairy lights glimmered in the background. They didn't post it anywhere yet, it was just a test, but both sisters felt a little thrill seeing their cozy tradition captured on screen. As the week went on, life carried on in its usual rhythm. Emily applied for part-time teaching positions at the local library and community center, while Claire spent hours in the art studio at school, preparing for her presentation. In the evenings, though, no matter how busy the day had been, they returned to their ritual. One evening, a power outage swept through the neighborhood. Streetlights went dark, the hum of appliances fell silent, and the Parker house was lit only by the soft glow of candles. Instead of breaking their tradition, Emily and Claire embraced it. They sat cross-legged on Emily's bed, a single candle flickering between them, and took turns reading from an old collection of Edgar Allan Poe stories. The shadows danced across the walls, making the moment feel timeless, almost as if they had been transported to another century. They laughed afterward about how dramatic it had felt, but both agreed it was one of their favorite nights. Their parents, Thomas and Linda Parker, often passed by the room before bed and smiled at the sight. "You two keep this up and you'll inspire the whole neighborhood," their father joked one evening. Linda added, "It's nice to see you girls enjoying something so simple and yet so special." Months passed and winter arrived. Snow blanketed Maplewood, muffling the sounds of the outside world. The sisters often made hot cocoa before settling in for their nightly readings, sometimes wrapping themselves in thick quilts their grandmother had made. The books varied, classics, memoirs, modern fiction, but the feeling remained the same, safe, warm, connected. They eventually did start their YouTube channel, naming it the Nighttime Pages. Their first video was simple, just the two of them introducing themselves and talking about how their reading tradition began. They promised viewers a space free of negativity, a place for people of all ages to enjoy the magic of books. Over time, they gained a small but loyal following, with comments from viewers saying the videos made them feel calm and inspired.